What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. And today we got to talk about the latest drama surrounding DMX's family at his street naming celebration in Yonkers. This was supposed to be a beautiful moment for Earl Simmons. The street named after DMX in the city that helped shape him should have been about his life, his music, his pain, his prayers, and the people who still feel him years after he's been gone. But instead, it turned into another family dispute over who gets recognized, who got left out, and who has the right to stand closest to his legacy. And before I say anything else, let's get straight to the first clip because this is where things started to get tense.
My name is Desiree Lindstrom. I was Earl's fiance and the mother of his son, Xavier Simmons, and co-administrator of his estates, along with his daughter, Tasha. Sorry. We are here today to celebrate a man who truly loved the city that raised him. His talent took him all over the world, but he never forgot where he came from, and he never stopped representing YO. And today, his city is returning that love. Before we get into it, I would like to take a moment and acknowledge the individuals who made this event even possible. First, a big thank you to Mayor Spano and the city of Yonkers for his honor. And D, thank you. Today would not have been possible without the hard work that you put in and to get this off the ground. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. And Councilwoman Tasha Diaz and the City Council, thank you for getting behind this idea and helping us make sure Earl gets his flowers. Let's give it up for them.
Desiree had every right to speak on DMX. She was his fiance. She had a child with him, and she was part of the later chapter in his life. That does not erase the family that came before her, but it also does not make her some random person standing there to get attention. The problem is that DMX's life was not simple. So his legacy was never going to be simple either. He had children from different relationships, a long history with his ex-wife Tashaera, and a final family structure with Desiree that some people don't seem happy about. But a ceremony is not a place where you turn that pain into a public takeover. When a man is being honored after his death, the people left behind have to move with discipline. That don't mean people have to pretend family issues don't exist. It means you don't let the family issues become louder than the man being honored. And that's what it felt like was starting to happen here. DMX spent his whole life wrestling with demons in public. And somehow even his tribute couldn't go on without chaos. That's sad to me because Earl Simmons already gave the world enough pain to discuss. He don't need his street naming turning into another episode of Who Feels Disrespected. Now let's get to Xavier because this is where the whole thing shifted.
Now there is absolutely no way that you will close this ceremony, we will not hear from his original entire family. So mommy, please stand next to my side. Mommy, please. Please. Sean. Thank you. Sean. Praise. Tacoma.
I'm also a part of his original family.
Come here. Auntie Ray Cool, come on.
It don't matter.
Listen, listen. Right is right, wrong is wrong. We are here. Firstly, thank you to the entire city of Yonkers. Hold on. Thank you to Mayor Spano. Thank you to Tasha Diaz. And thank you to Cherie. Without your groundwork, foot on the ground, none of this is possible. This is your vision. From reaching out to people on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, gathering up the signatures, making sure that everyone is on board to get this signed. Thank you. Thank you. My heart is just so full seeing all the love that we have. To Desiree Lindstrom, you have behaved dishonorably. The fact that you continue to exclude his original family, his children, my mother. Thank you. The fact that my mother and father built this empire from the ground up.
I can understand a son want his father's first family to be acknowledged. I can understand him feeling like his mother and his siblings should not be standing in the background while the world honors a man they knew before most people did. That part is human. But the way he did it is where I have a problem. When you take over a tribute, you change the energy from honor to confrontation. And with DMX, that hits different because this is the same family who have been public about his failures, addiction, his marriage, fatherhood, and all the pain that came from being connected to him. I'm not saying a son has to lie about his father. I would never tell a child to pretend that their pain was fake just because their daddy was famous. But there's a difference between telling your truth and dragging your father's name through every public room you can find. This is where people start getting uncomfortable. Because you can't keep helping the world see Earl through his worst moments and then show up at a ceremony and act like you the main defender of DMX's legacy. Those two things don't fit together. If you want to protect the legacy, protect the moment too. A street naming is not the time to settle family business with a microphone. That moment should have been bigger than who felt ignored. It should have been about the kid from Yonkers who turned trauma into a voice that shook the world. DMX is not just another rapper. He was one of those artists that sounded like he was bleeding and praying at the same time. When he barked, it was aggression. But when he prayed, it felt like a man trying to crawl back to God with the whole world watching. That is why people connected to him. Not because he was perfect, but because he was real in a way that made people feel less alone in their own damage. So when his family turns that honor into a public dispute, it makes the legacy feel smaller than it really is. And that brings me to Tashaera, because what she said is what really didn't sit right with me.
Right, y'all, I'm gonna do it one time. I'm gonna be messy one time. Did my son expose these devils? They've been exposed. Come on. Y'all know DMX, y'all know Tashaera. We built the DMX legacy together. There is no X without Tashaera. The fact that they came to my hometown and did not want us to be recognized, I'm gonna let y'all sit with that one.
I'ma say this plain. Tashaera was part of Earl's life, but she did not build DMX. She was his ex-wife. She is the mother of some of his children. And she lived through things with him that the public will never fully understand. Her story is real. Her pain is real. Her place in Earl's personal life cannot be erased. But the DMX legacy was not built off of marriage. The DMX legacy was built inside Earl Simmons. It came from his childhood wounds, his street life, his addiction, his rage, his shame, his love, and a voice that sounded like he had been dragged through hell but still believed God could hear it. That was not something another person could create for him. People could love him, support him, inspire him, hurt him, or be hurt by him. But they could not be DMX for him. That gift was his. And that is why claiming we built the DMX legacy together, that sound crazy. Because being near greatness is not the same as being the source of it. Tashaera may have been there before the world knew the full power of DMX. But the world did not fall in love with DMX because of who he was married to. The world fell in love with DMX because when he opened his mouth, you felt the man fighting for his life in real time. That is what made him so special. And this is where the contradictions get hard to ignore. If you have spent years speaking publicly about a man's damage, his failures, his addiction, and the pain he caused you, you have to be careful when you step to the front of a tribute and start asking for credit for his greatness. That don't mean you can't tell the truth about what you survived, but you don't get to make his lowest moments part of your public story and then turn around and try to claim ownership of the crown he built through those same wounds. This is where it feels disingenuous. Earl Simmons may have been hard to love. He may have failed his family in ways that still hurt them. He may have left behind more unfinished pain than people want to admit. But DMX, the artist, was not a family project. DMX was a God-given force that came through a broken man and reached millions of broken people. This is why his legacy has to be handled with more care than this. Desiree should not be acting like DMX had no family before her. Xavier should not turn his father's honor into a public confrontation. Tashaera should not confuse being part of Earl's life with co-creating the thing that made DMX immortal. Everybody involved has a piece of Earl's story, but nobody gets to own the whole legacy like a family trophy. The street sign doesn't say the arguments around DMX. It doesn't say the ex-wife, the fiance, or the children. It says Earl DMX Simmons. That name should have been enough to make everybody step back and remember why they were there. They were there because even with all its flaws, DMX gave hip-hop something nobody can duplicate. And when you are standing under a name like that, You should move with humility, not because your pain doesn't matter, but because that moment should have been bigger than your pain. DMX already fought enough when he was alive. He fought addiction, childhood trauma, fame, expectations, family issues, and the demons he talked about in his own music. The least people who love him can do now is stop fighting over the peace he should finally have. So my position is simple. Acknowledge everybody who truly loved Earl. Respect every child who carries his blood. Recognize the women who were part of his life without letting anybody rewrite who created his greatness. Because when it comes to DMX, the legacy starts with DMX. He built it through pain, prayer, failure, fire, and a voice that still sounds alive even though he's gone. And if his family really wants to honor him, they should stop making his tributes feel like another battle he has to lose in public. Let Earl rest. Let DMX stand and stop trying to take credit for a legacy that came out of a soul none of you could have created. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.